Today, we are taking the two most dangerous women of late century neo-noir and we're locking them in a room together. It's Catherine Trammell versus Alex Forrest. The ice pick versus the butcher knife, the boiling bunny versus the crossed legs. And caught in the crossfire, sweating in his cheap suit, it's Michael Douglas versus Michael Douglas. If you weren't afraid of casual hookups before, you will be, because we are revisiting the dual edges of Hollywood psychosexual panic, Basic Instinct, and Fatal Attraction. But only one can claim a coveted spot on the greatest watch list of all time. This is The Essential Cut. Welcome to today's episode, How the Psychosexual Panic Saved Marriage Forever. I'm Ian, one half of the Essential Cut pod, and I'm here with my co-host, Michael Smith. Together, we're on a quest to build the greatest watch list of all time. And to do it, we're using research, debate, the scientific method, and good old-fashioned vibes to arrive at the most difficult decision a movie lover can possibly make. Which movie to never watch again. And when Michael and I still can't agree at the end of the episode, we default to democracy, and we kick it to you, the audience, to determine which movie belongs on the greatest watch list of all time and which one will be deleted forever. Our watch list is now up to yet another poll, Michael, from last episode. You voted for Reality Bites, even though I was making a strong case for it. I voted for Garden State. I want to be transparent right now. The poll's out. We don't know which one's going to win, but I have some regrets.
You have regrets?
I have regrets. This is probably the first time that I've ever voted for a movie because it was the one I thought you were going to vote for, and I was trying to avoid a poll.
Yeah, this building of the watch list is taking a little longer than we anticipated because of all of the polling.
Yeah, there's been a lot of polling lately. In fact, we have several that we want to be able to update on today's episode, but that one specifically, I like Reality Bites more. I'm okay. I was okay with either one being on the list, but I was so convinced that you were going to go Garden State. You made such a strong case for Garden State.
I thought I was. You convinced me.
I was rock, paper, scissoring you, where I was like, oh, he's going to go rock.
You played.
But I talked you apparently into going paper, and as a result, now we do have another poll. So I think maybe please vote for Reality Bites.
Yeah, I mean,
we both agree that probably should be the one.
I really like both
can't go back
movies.
And change my vote.
I had a lot of fun with Garden State, but I think as a time capsule, they both do a really great job. But Reality Bites is just really interesting and has great things to say about its time.
Between the two, I'd rather have Reality Bites on our watch list.
I think
it belongs.
Think that, not to be too self-important here, but Reality Bites is the one that I think I want to find an audience for.
Yeah, I agree. It's more people should watch that movie than should watch Garden State. So sometimes we advocate a little bit for the one we voted for. I am wishing I had voted for Reality Bites because, again, I was trying to predict your outcome and just avoid a poll so we could put a movie on the watch list because our watch list is it is becoming a slow burn. So we do have two polls to announce, so I'm really excited.
Yeah.
Last week, I actually didn't realize I failed to announce the outcome of our Close Encounters versus Invasion of the Body Snatchers poll. The thing that happened is exactly what we thought was going to happen.
Yep.
Close
you
Encounters.
Win.
Close Encounters is now officially on the greatest watch list of all time. Invasion of the Body Snatchers, farewell. So I'm sorry. We will have Roy Neary on there with his little gray buddies, and Donald Sutherland and his vicious scream will have to scream farewell.
Makes me sad.
It makes me a little sad, too, because that was my first experience with that movie, and I really, really liked it.
Yeah, it's a really great movie.
Yeah.
And, we talk about how a movie connects emotionally, and that movie, I
remember you gave that emotional connection.
Hard.
I know. I was surprised because that one is so dark, and Close Encounters is, it's so much about, family and chasing your dreams.
It's very
but you
Spielbergian.
It is very Spielbergian, but anyway, so... Happy to have it on there, though. I love Close Encounters. It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
I'm not mad that Close Encounters is on the list. I am sad that Body Snatchers isn't.
Yeah. The other big update is we also predicted this would happen. The Departed did go on to beat LA Confidential.
But it was a lot closer.
It was one vote.
Yeah.
It was one vote. And I will tell you who that vote was. It was my wife. They were tied. They were both going to go on the watch list. I was ready to announce it. I was really excited that we had a tie. They're both such good movies. And she went in there and she's like, no, I like The Departed better. And I was like, could you just keep it to yourself?
Yeah.
And so that means that we're going to have Costigan and fucking, I can't
what's Wahlberg's?
Wahlberg's character's name. It's eluding me now. Dignam.
Dignam.
Yep, Costigan and Dignam are on the list. They are on the greatest watch list of all time. The Departed is a fucking great movie.
It's great. Though I will say, I won't go so far is to say that I have regrets. I don't regret voting for The Departed.
But you want a bigger audience for LA Confidential.
I'm really sad that LA Confidential is not on the list. That was like such a close call. It is such a good movie. I think that it was very praised at the time, but has gone on to be kind of criminally underrated.
I agree. I think it's become very forgotten, and I was really hoping we could actually get it a little bit of press. I do believe that we have a couple of things we need to do as a result of this, though. A, we got to get Guy Pearce on there at some point. I'm not worried about Russell Crowe. He'll be fine. But we got to get Guy Pearce on the watch list. And we've got to get Curtis Hanson on the watch list.
I know.
We both are like becoming Curtis Hanson fans. And here we go. He got voted off.
This podcast has become like pro Curtis Hanson and weirdly anti Ryan Reynolds are like the two themes that have happened.
I don't know if it's weird.
It's not that weird, actually.
Ryan Reynolds.
Stand by it.
I think we both feel good about being anti Ryan Reynolds. So yes, The Departed is on there. So the watch list got some major updates.
Yes.
I'm excited to announce it has grown. What are we doing today, Michael?
All right, today we are pitting Fatal Attraction against Basic Instinct.
Why did we pair these movies, Michael, besides the absolute obvious reasons?
Well, the absolute obvious reason is that they're very, very sexy movies.
They're so sexy.
They're very, very sexy.
It's maybe too sexy?
I think that is actually more specifically the reason.
That was the problem. They both were labeled
these
as
movies
too
were
much sex.
Controversial, and they were, I think we agree, misjudged at the time. Now, Fatal Attraction was praised. It got nominated for a bunch of awards.
Sure.
But they were both accused of mistreating their female protagonists. They were called misogynistic.
Don't give too much away. We're gonna reinvestigate that in today's episode, right? Are they misogynistic, or were they just a reflection of our own misogyny?
Yeah, really interesting ideas to play with here.
Fun to watch them through the 2026 lens. I can see how in 87 and 92 maybe it felt that way, but we'll see where we land on that.
Where we go.
Yeah.
And so we are going to pit these two movies against our three tests.
Our very scientific tests.
Our very, very scientific tests that always determine the outcome.
The essential cut method.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is the essential cut method.
It's infallible.
It's perfect. It's why we're going to have the best watch list of all time.
Exactly.
Our first test is cultural importance. Which movie made a bigger impact on our culture?
So the question we're going to be asking today was, is it the one that created the blueprint for the 90s psychosexual thriller?
Or is it the one that got parodied more than maybe any other movie of all time, from The Simpsons to Seinfeld? And that scene so iconic that it got Wayne Knight his role in Jurassic Park without an audition.
We're also going to look at the emotional connection of each of these movies and determine which one hits us harder where it hurts.
Yeah, are we more touched by the empathy we feel for Alex Forrest and her dismissed pregnancy?
Or are we more affected by Catherine Trammell's ability to outmaneuver, outthink, and outfuck the entire San Francisco Police Department?
So jealous you got to say outfuck. And then last, but definitely not least, this one is super important. One of the best things about watching movies is that they're fun. And so we try to decide which one's more entertaining.
So we're going to find out, is it Ann Archer's ultimate vengeance at the end of Fatal Attraction that gets us out of our seats and cheering that's the most entertaining?
Or is it that sex, murder, mystery, the car chases, gunplay, ice pick play that's going to win the day here? There's a lot of ice pick play.
So which one will be more entertaining for us? And we'll determine that as well. And then once we figure that all out,
we will make our determination, and we'll see if the two of us can figure out how to get a movie on the watch list or if we're going to need more help.
We often need a lot of help, don't we?
We do.
All right, Michael. Sounds good. With that, let's get to work.
Let's do it.
Let's start by exploring the cultural importance of Fatal Attraction. So it opened on September 18th, 1987 to $7.6 million of a budget of 14, went on to gross $157 million domestic. I think it's worldwide, was somewhere in 330. This thing was a smash hit. It became something that every single studio wanted to copy. This was a relatively low budget, very actor driven film that just made a ton of money and had a huge cultural impact. Not only did it make all that money, it was nominated for 6 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Actress, Glenn Close, who lost to Cher in Moonstruck, which I got to pause right there. You and I have watched Moonstruck. Before we ever did the podcast, we watched that movie together. What do you think of that as far as Glenn Close losing to Cher in that film?
So I like Cher in Moonstruck. I actually don't have a big
Cher
problem with her winning an Oscar for that. I really like Cher. I like Cher as an actor.
I love Moonstruck.
I love Moonstruck. And so until watching this, right?
You were always like, yeah,
I was
Cher
like, yeah,
wins.
whatever. No problem with that. I don't know why there's a controversy. Glenn Close is kind of remarkable here. Not kind of. Like,
oh, I mean, she is a vision in this movie. Like, she is doing work that just I don't know that I've seen done since, and I'm not sure I've seen done before. So I really struggle with that win because I love Cher in Moonstruck. I love Moonstruck. I think Glenn Close might have gotten robbed.
maybe.
Yeah.
One could make the argument credibly, for sure.
Best Supporting Actress for Anne Archer. Best Director for Adrian Lyne. He previously directed Jacob's Ladder, Flashdance, Indecent Proposal, and 9.5 Weeks, which during an interview I was watching with him, he definitely was like, when I was making this, I wanted to avoid the problems of 9.5 Weeks. Less flashy, more human, which I think he does a really good...
Is that Sandra Bullock?
No. It's Mickey Rourke.
Mixing it up with a different movie.
Yeah,
then.
Mickey Rourke and... forget the female lead in that. Anyway, Best Adapted Screenplay. This is really interesting because it's adapted from the screenwriter's screenplay.
Oh.
Yes.
I didn't know that was a thing.
It didn't either. So it was adapted from his own screenplay. He'd written a film called, it was a short film for British television called Diversion that had aired in the early 80s and then expanded it into a full feature-length screenplay.
Okay, so because that screenplay was produced, that's what then made it adapted.
Exactly.
As opposed to being another draft.
But it really was sort of a draft and then became something larger. So that was for James Dearden. And then Best Editing for Michael Kahn and Peter Berger. It won none of its 6 awards, which... Again, I mean, of all of them I looked into, I was like, the one that's worth talking about is Glenn Close because it's sort of historically. I wonder, though, if this is one of those performances where the Academy was like, oh my gosh, look at this amazing young actress. She'll get her Oscar. Everybody calm down. Like, Cher's been around for a while. We want to give Cher her Oscar. Glenn, you'll get yours.
Yeah.
And here we are now in 2026, and where's Glenn's Oscar?
Right. I mean, Glenn Close is going to be one of those that ends up with like the honorary Oscar.
Which will be such a tragedy because she has just made decades of great film. I mean, she was so good at Knives Out last year.
Yeah.
I don't know that she deserved the Oscar for it. I don't know if she's the best performance in it, but she's great in it.
Right. And she's been nominated numerous times.
She has. She gets nominated, although it's been a while. It's actually been a long while for her, which is interesting. So it is not on the AFI Top 100. It is in the New York Times 1,000 Essential Films, though.
Cool.
It is 1,913 on IMDb. Very low.
That feels low.
And it's fallen recently as well. Its average star rating on Letterboxd is 3.5. And then something new we're going to do, I didn't talk to you about it, but I saw you kind of picked up on it, was I want to see how many views the movie has and then how many likes it has of its views. So it has 205,000 views on Letterboxd with a 17% like rating at 36,000 likes, which is also kind of low.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. This is the first time we're doing that ratio.
Yeah, I like the ratio.
I like it. I'm curious where we end up landing, right? Because like, I don't know that I like movies on Letterboxd even when I rate them highly. So I'm just curious where it's going to end up. Like what is a good movie going to be?
Well, I wonder what people's criteria is for tapping on like. So I'll share. My criteria for tapping on like is, am I going to rewatch this?
Okay.
That's basically like my question to myself is I'm like, is this a one-time watch that I'm going to walk away from and go, oh, I liked it? Or am I like, you know what? This is probably going to get watched again.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what other people's criteria is. Drop it in the comments. Let us know. What's your criteria for putting a like on Letterboxd? I'm super, super curious because I think we all sort of have our own internal dialogue.
Lots of different internal dialogue, right? Like you could have the like, okay, if I rate something 3 or better, it's a like, right? You know,
and then not hit like on it.
Yeah.
So anyway, interesting. So the review I chose, I actually want to bring this in. So I'm going to bring it back when we talk about sort of the emotional impact of the movie, because this is an important point around this film. But we'll talk about it here. The review is, Amanda watched this with me and was on Glenn Close's side from start to finish. I cannot step out of line. Frank James.
Oh, Frank.
Oh, Frank. You better look out for Amanda. I don't know who Amanda is. I love that he references her.
I don't know. I kind of like Amanda.
I actually probably went through, I'm going to say over 100 reviews before I chose this one this time. Because a lot of them, they were very boilerplate. And this one felt weirdly personal, but also a really interesting review because there is sort of a counter narrative about this movie that we'll get into. And I think this is a great illustration of that counter narrative.
I think what this review alludes to is going to be a really fun conversation for us to have.
I agree. So we're gonna put a pin in Frank James's review. We will come back to it, I promise, when we get out of our cultural importance, which, by the way, we should mention, we have shifted from cinematic importance to cultural importance.
Yeah, because cinematic importance ended up being cultural importance as we had discussions.
We kept pigeonholing it and trying to make it cinematic importance, and it just didn't make sense anymore. And so we're going to go broader in it, and it feels more important.
More important.
Very important. All right. So as we get into the importance of this, I actually want to go into the revised ending of this movie because the revised ending has so much to do with
the reception. Yeah.
Exactly. So let's do a quick history of Fatal Attraction. In the original ending.
Spoiler alert.
Yes. Well,
we do that here.
We do. In the original ending, Alex actually kills herself, sets it up so that Dan is framed for it being a murder. Dan gets arrested. He goes to jail. Ann Archer's character, Beth, discovers the tape that she gave him to scare him, which, by the way, I really got to talk about how long that fucking tape is, because this drive home is, minimum 45 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And he listens to it all the way home.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's a good tape, too.
And he listens to the whole damn thing. Then he listens to it more when he gets home. She finds the tape, gives it over to the police. He is ultimately released, but, it ends in this very tenuous space, which is Dan's on the brink of being disbarred, of losing his family, of basically paying the price for his affair. They showed it to test audiences, and test audiences revolted.
I think if we've learned anything on this podcast,
fuck test audiences.
It's that test audiences make people change the endings of movies, and they're always wrong.
Well, here's the thing about them being wrong, and we'll get to it as well, but there is a lot of speculation, and I'd say there's probably good evidence for the fact that this movie would not have been as successful financially, because it was a huge, it was a phenomenon if it had not had that ending. And I think some of this has to do with casting, and again, we'll get into this, but they wanted Alex punished for her behavior. That was the biggest thing, was after watching everything that led up to sort of that final act, that climax at the end of the film, and then seeing her just sort of commit suicide and fade away, audiences really struggled seeing her as somebody that was deserving of empathy by the end. I think the bunny might have hurt that as well.
And we will probably talk about the bunny. The kidnapping.
I think the kidnapping is interesting, and we'll get into which one hurt it more. But the bunny's a tough scene. Michael Douglas supported the reshoots. So after all of it happened, he was like, yeah, we need to reshoot this thing. Audiences will like it more. We'll make more money. Very, very business focused, very Michael Douglas-y. Glenn Close and Adrian Lyne both really, really resisted the reshoots. Adrian Lyne, the director, was like, I don't want to do this. That's not the right ending for this character. Glenn Close was like, I poured my heart and my soul into Alex. I know Alex is troubled, but I love Alex. I made her. And I've occupied her, and this just is not her ending, this new ending that's being written. Somebody wrote a very large check to Adrian Lyne. It's unclear, kind of how much influence that had over him for doing it, but there is sort of a point at which is the studio is telling you need to reshoot the ending. How much juice do you have to push back? And then when they give you reports are anywhere between $1.5 and $2 million just to reshoot the ending on a $14 million budget, that's I think that's the point where the studio knew they had something really great if they just changed the ending. And that's why I'm saying there's strong indicators that this movie's success.
From the studio's perspective, they were right.
Yes.
Right?
From this podcast perspective, we'll get into whether we think they were right or not.
Sure. But if we're talking, the studio views this as a business decision, it was probably the right business decision.
Probably. But from this podcast's perspective, we'll get into it. Glenn Close held out for 2 weeks. She basically was like, I'm not showing up to work. They're calling me in and I'm saying no. William Hurt told her to buck up and do the job. And she was like, you're right. It's the job. I don't have creative control, even when I strongly disagree with the creative vision. And so she gave in. The reshoots obviously involved her being drowned, so it involved her being held underwater for long stretches of time. Glenn Close
I
actually
hope she got paid.
Well, she got a nose infection and an eye infection from the reshoots, from being drowned and then resurrected and then drowned. That ending is bazonkers.
Almost cartoonish.
It is almost cartoonish.
Okay, it's definitely cartoonish.
It's Ren and Stimpy, man. It's wild. But she really felt it was an absolute betrayal of the character. About 7 years ago, she did talk to an interview with People magazine where she maybe has adjusted her view with time, maybe for political reasons. Maybe she actually feels this way.
Are there things that you'd want to do with her that you didn't back then?
Well, I think that largely would have to do with the writing. I mean, things were hinted at about her father. Mm-hmm. You knew that there was something strange going on there. And the research I did with psychiatrists, even though they didn't bring up a particular mental illness, we decided that she had been incested at a very, very early age by her father, long enough to really damage her. And that traditionally makes a very, somebody who hates themselves, and many, many people who that has happened to end up taking their own lives and never being able to achieve fulfilling relationships. That was the woman I was playing. And I think when I first read the script, it was film noir, absolutely. They got the fight. She killed herself by cutting her throat with a knife, and his fingerprints were on the knife, and he went to jail. I think because Anne Archer was so beautiful and so wonderful, and Michael was this, star that everybody loved, it was so upsetting to everybody that even though I killed myself, it wasn't punishment enough. But also,
she had to be killed worse.
Yeah. Also, it's the audience wanted to believe that family might be able to survive.
Yeah.
So they got their catharsis by shedding my blood.
Do you wish that the original ending had stayed?
I don't think it would have been the huge hit that it became without the ending. What I've been thinking of recently, though, is I think it would be wonderful to write that kind of story from her point of view.
Oh, wow.
That, I think, would be really interesting.
It's rare that I hear artists talk about their work, and I agree so, perfectly.
Yeah,
everything
I think
Glenn
she
Close
has a really measured, intelligent, fair analysis of what was done there.
Mm-hmm. But also, why it happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I mentioned the casting. Anne Archer is too goddamn likable as Beth.
Yep.
Anne Archer is too goddamn likable in general.
Right.
I love Anne Archer. I love Anne Archer in this, though. She is just this, she's just such a vision.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that nobody wanted to see her hurt in any way, and people did want to see her have some type of vengeance.
Her to be able to sort of be the one that rises up and wins, I guess.
Yeah, you want her to have a win, because everything feels so much like a loss for her up to this point. She's been through so much, both with Dan and then with the accident.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, she gets punished, right? Horrible things happen to her, and she's the one who didn't do anything to deserve it.
No, in fact, quite the opposite. Yeah. So, all right. So the reason I want to discuss that is because it really is this ending and sort of this punishment and this crazy psychosexual panic that emerges from this movie is what it goes on to inspire. And so just list the short version of all the movies that this movie inspired. We're going to go through it just in a list. Pacific Heights, Bad Influence, directed by Curtis Hanson,
who we have decided we're a fan of.
We love him, so we may have to do some more of his movies. The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, also directed by Curtis Hanson.
I haven't seen that in a really, really long time. I remember liking it, though.
I don't know if I've seen it. If I have, it's been heck long. Single White Female, classically, of course. Yeah. And then, you have the tropes Promising Young Woman. It was sort of being a reversal of this kind of thing. And then all the way up through Obsession, which just took theaters by storm.
Yeah. Did you see Obsession?
I did not see Obsession. Did you?
Obsession's fun.
Okay, I want to watch it. So I got dragged to Backrooms, which I'm going to just hot take it here.
Yeah, you're the one who hates Backrooms.
I hate Backrooms.
Yeah.
I think Backrooms is if this is the future of film, I want out. It was a bad movie.
I think you'll like Obsession.
I've heard Obsession's good, and so I do want to see it. The movie sparked a wave of conservative reactions, cheering the narrative's defense of nuclear family and marriage and the punishment for stepping outside of the lines of that, and then also for Alex being a sort of representative of this sort of like new wave feminism and the depression that comes with it. And we're seeing some of this coming out of conservative talking heads now about like, the, what is it, the lonely cat lady, right?
Yeah.
The lonely cat lady with no children. Well, she's unhappy. She's miserable. She doesn't have this great nuclear family. And Alex sort of became this archetype that they use to say, see, this is what this is all about. There was also a backlash from contemporary writers and academics decrying its portrayal of female mania, female independence, and mental illness, that Alex was treated like a villain in the end by changing this ending, and that by changing the ending and making her, and I don't think they were speaking specifically about the ending, and I do wonder how much critics would have still had that feeling had the ending gone with the original ending.
Yeah.
I'm very curious indeed, but because it was released the way it was released, people were like, this is misogynistic, this is anti-feminist, this is anti-female independence, this is only pro-nuclear family, and it just shows the punishment. And so there was just tons of dialogue in the press among critics about what to do with this narrative. But again, it sparked so many copycat movies. It's a seminal work. It defines and influences domestic thrillers as far back as the 90s and all the way through to today. I don't think much more can be said about how much importance there is coming out of Fatal Attraction. So I will wrap that up and I will hand it over to you so you can take us through the cultural importance of Basic Instinct.
Yeah, so Basic Instinct is another erotic thriller, came out about 5 years after Fatal Attraction. This one was another huge hit. It had a relatively low budget. It was made for $49 million, so not like as cheap as Fatal Attraction. But when you compare that against its...
Well, Michael Douglas was probably way more expensive at this
that point. He had been in Fatal Attraction, right? And
he had his Best Picture Oscar already like ages before, right? He's like one of the youngest ever to have a Best Picture Oscar.
Yeah. So $49 million budget, but went on to make like 117 domestically, 353 worldwide. Big hit. Mixed reviews at the time, but audiences really loved this movie. It's not in the AFI 100. It's not one of New York Times 1000 Essential. It's 654 on the IMDb ranking.
Much higher.
So much higher than Fatal Attraction. A slightly higher Letterboxd star rating, too. It has a 3.6.
It's definitely the populist favorite between the two.
480 views, 480,000 views. 98,000 likes. That's a 20% like ratio. So higher also than Fatal Attraction. And the review I picked, because it made me giggle, is this movie has many unintentionally funny moments, but the two that are the funniest for me are, one, the fact that these people describe their vanilla sex as sadomasochistic because sometimes they like to tie each other's hands to a bedpost with white silk Hermes scarves.
No, Hermes.
Well, Hermes in the movie. And two, the idea that Sharon Stone would ever fuck Michael Douglas. And that was written by Ely.
So I got to ask you, why did you choose this? Because this feels to me like a gross misreading of the movie.
I think it is funny, not because it's a misreading of the movie. I think the movie is actually very aware of these two things.
I do too. That's why I'm saying that it's a misreading, because I think the movie knows exactly what it's doing.
Yeah, so maybe the word unintentionally is the misread here. I think they are funny, but I do think the movie winks at us in those
100%.
in those ways.
I think the movie is having so much fun calling that sadomasochistic sex.
Yeah. And in the scene where they talk about it, it's kind of clear that we're supposed to make fun of these cops for thinking it's...
This is the forever satire problem. We talk about it at least once every 2 weeks about people not understanding when they're being winked at.
Yeah. So I picked it less so because it says it's unintentionally, but more so because those two elements of the movie I really like. They kind of make the movie in some ways.
They're a blast.
And then this movie was not nominated for 6 Academy Awards, but it was nominated for 2 in film editing. Was up against same category, Fatal Attraction, different year.
A few years
and Best Original Score. Got 2 Golden Globe nominations and 3 Golden Raspberry nominations.
For what?
Worst actor, worst
Michael
supporting
Douglas?
actress for Triple Horn, and like worst breakout something or other. I can't remember who that went to.
I don't
that was
like
stupid.
the raspberries.
I don't either. But the fact that it got both Academy Award nominations and Raspberry nominations is kind of interesting.
That feels very Verhoeven.
Very Verhoeven.
That's the most Verhoeven thing ever.
And fits this movie too, because this movie, as we talk about its cultural importance, I mean, so much of its cultural impact when it came out is controversy. Like, this movie existed in our culture in a big way because it was controversial.
This is a movie that I saw spoofed way before I ever saw the movie or knew what it was about. The interrogation scene is spoofed so many times. I mean, shit, they spoof it with Wayne Knight in Seinfeld.
Yeah. So the interrogation scene is iconic. Like, it really is iconic. There is, we'll talk more in our emotional connection about how that scene plays out and its importance in the movie. But yeah, it's spoofed all the time.
It has massive cultural
You
importance
don't have to know that this movie even exists to know that Sharon Stone was in the scene where she uncrossed her legs, right? And even that scene has been met with controversy closer to today in that Sharon Stone says that she didn't know that was going to show up on camera, that it was going to be more implied than explicit. Verhoeven denies that, says that it was discussed and that they understood why it was important narratively.
I love, sorry, I just got to pause because that right there is a great parallel to the narrative of Fatal Attraction.
I know.
We discussed it. These were the rules. When did we discuss it? What rules are you talking about? And then it feels like, which side do you believe in this?
And then,
you know what? I believe Sharon Stone.
I do too. I believe Sharon Stone. Sharon Stone also, though, in interviews has said that even though she didn't like it at the time, she was uncomfortable, she wished she could be a part of that decision, it was the right one for the movie.
It's sort of the Glenn Close thing where it's like, I didn't like it at the time, but I understand now. But I mean, I don't know. I always wonder about those sort of like hindsight things. Is like, are you just moderating because enough time has passed and success sort of like takes the edges off of things?
Yeah, and I mean, it could also just be like a psychological defense mechanism, right? And
I don't want to armchair, but I have a lot of respect for Sharon Stone. I love her as a performer.
Yeah,
I think she deserved a nomination for this role.
I agree wholeheartedly. Movie was originally given an NC-17. There was a big fight with the MPAA. Verhoeven ended up cutting about 40 seconds of sex and violence to get that R rating. Which is hilarious that 40 seconds is
it's whatever though, yeah.
But the bigger controversy came from sort of two communities who did not like their representation in this movie. Much like Fatal Attraction, there was a feminist backlash to this movie. It was condemned as being misogynist, this idea that an independent woman must be psychopathic and dangerous. And the idea that Nick rapes Beth and it's like an act of revenge. And that scene is rough.
That is a rough scene.
That said, I think that what that scene says about the characters in the movie is not necessarily misogynistic. We'll talk about it, I think, a little bit later. I think it's not endorsing it. It's I think it condemns the act. And I think that Catherine, Sharon Stone's character, is really interesting and nuanced. And yes, you can read it as misogynistic, but I think there is more there.
She's very powerful. She's very intelligent. But it does, I mean, the movie does seem to make a suggestion that like her intelligence comes with a sort of psychosis. And like it is hard to untangle those two things. So we'll get into it though.
And then the gay community was very unhappy with this movie. They read the script and protested the production. So when they were shooting in San Francisco, they disrupted the production, blowing whistles, shining flashlights in the camera, getting in the way of this movie even being made based on the fact that the villain or villains, depending on how you read this, are both bisexual. They ended up having this like broken up by riot police. There were court-ordered restraining orders. So the movie obviously did get made, and their response was to show up at theaters when it was playing with signs that spoiled the ending.
Yeah, I read about that. And I think this is probably the one that I agree with the most because at the time, there's so little queer representation in film.
Yes.
That when this is the only and the most popular, I actually do understand why they're furious.
I
think
initially
30 years later.
Yeah, I initially dismissed it because I'm like, sure, this is an example where a gay character maybe is given this psychosis, but it's everywhere, right? Especially in Hollywood. Like there's lots of diversity in that community in the way it's represented now. So I initially dismissed it, but then I had to sort of rewind myself to the early 90s.
And ask yourself, what films had major gay characters in
And they are right that
1992?
there kind of was this trope of like the psychotic homosexual who murdered everybody.
Yeah, it's that you couldn't untangle being gay or any type of LGBTQ plus from being psychotic, being suicidal, being homicidal. Like it was the only representation.
It was connected to mental illness pretty much exclusively.
Exactly.
So I get it in 92. I acknowledge that we have made a lot of progress in 35 years.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And then this is where I think it's really interesting that we've paired these two movies because they are bookends of the era of the erotic thriller, right? The success of Fatal Attraction led to a ton of these erotic thrillers being made. Some academics tie that to the AIDS crisis and the idea that sex was dangerous at the time.
That it was deadly.
That it was deadly.
That it was deadly, yeah.
And that was sort of in the minds of the populace. And then Basic Instinct was kind of one of the last ones to be wildly successful. And then there were just dozens and dozens of movies in between. Towards the end of that period, there was a shift from these like really commercially successful movies that were maybe mixed critically to movies that were less commercially successful, but were kind of artsy and elevated, like Mulholland Drive, Eyes Wide Shut, To Die For. And then the genre sort of died in the 2000s. We still get them here and there, but they're not as prevalent as they were in the 90s.
They were huge in the 90s.
They were huge. They were all over the place. But then you had 24-hour cable TV, Skinamax, and then the internet just straight up gave us porn. And these thrillers sort of died on the vine.
Well, and I wonder how much of it had to do with how titillating they were versus, like, obviously, I'm in my 40s now. The reason I watch Basic Instinct now would be really different than the reason I would watch it when I was 16. But, like, this is a great noir thriller.
Absolutely.
I love this movie as a noir thriller. I mean, I felt like I was watching a Humphrey Bogart movie. It was so much fun in that regard. But I don't know how much people wanted that versus they just wanted that legs uncrossing scene and all of this sexual stuff. And this is the stuff that Verhoeven loves to play with U.S. audiences anyway.
I mean, that is his bread and butter, is the thing that he likes to say, is that we're really weird about sex and violence. And the one that we have a problem with and the one that we don't.
Yeah.
And so while we watch it now and the discussion we'll have will be much more, I think, about the psychology and the violence and all of that.
And the plotting.
And the plot and the usage of sex as a tool within that. I do think that the $300 million that each of these movies made probably had something to do with the sex.
I think you're probably right. It's they are both very titillating movies. I think and again, we'll get into this, but I do think one of the biggest differences, though, is that the sex in Basic Instinct is heightened and weird, but ultimately sexier, whereas the sex in Fatal Attraction is weird and awkward, and Glenn Close allows herself to be photographed in ways that are not flattering while she's nude, and it's a very, like, more grounded, realistic, I think, version of sex. Like, Verhoeven, I don't know what his direction is when he's like doing sex scenes, but he's like, just thrust your body around violently.
Well, I think he intentionally makes the sex violent.
No, I think he does too. I mean, we've seen Showgirls as well, and it's like the same thing with the pool scene. Like, their sex is absurd in his movies.
Starship Troopers does it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah.
So very, very different representations of sexual intercourse.
Yes. And Showgirls is actually one of the movies that came after this by Verhoeven that is a notorious failure, both critically and commercially.
Just bomb. People hated it.
And that was another reason why this era kind of faded away.
It does feel funny, though, that, like,
but it gets a critical reassessment now.
Well, I was going to say, but Verhoeven, like whenever he got his wrist slapped for doing something, he did more of it. Whereas I mentioned, Adrian Lyne was like, after 9.5 weeks, well, I'm going to make an adjustment. I'm going to do something more grounded, more realistic, right? He's like, I'm going to learn from critics' responses.
Whereas Verhoeven's like, oh, you thought Basic Instinct was controversial. I've got a showgirl for you.
I know.
I love him for that.
I know. It makes you love him for it. Absolutely.
And then the last thing I'll just mention, I have nothing to say about it. There was a Basic Instinct 2 in 2006. Sharon Stone was kind of the only one who returned for it.
Which was shocking that she did.
No one else did. And that was just...
Did they write her a pretty big check for it, though?
Yeah. And that was just a huge critical and commercial failure. I think it's like 6% on Rotten Tomatoes. Made half of its budget at the box office. The budget was big. I think most of that went to Stone.
And that's too bad because I think that, again, I would like to see more noir thrillers like this. It's such, I don't want to say paint by numbers because it's not. It's a fun original story, but it really is following the template of like old noir thriller in a way that is just...
And inverts it in a really fun way.
Oh, and it's so delightful though. Like I had a blast with it. I really did.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know what that means though.
I think it means that it's time to get our boards out.
It's time to get our boards out. It's time to make a decision as to which film that we each feel is more culturally important. Give that award, and then we'll move into the discussion around which one has the greater emotional impact. Are you ready to make the decision?
I am ready for this one.
All right. I'm ready for this one too. Let's do it.
All right. I have made my call, and I think we have made the same call.
We always think we made the same call.
And then you throw a weird curveball.
Okay, well, you know what? You just calm down. All right, on 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, Fatal Attraction.
It is Fatal Attraction. I think part of it is without a Fatal Attraction, I don't know that we get a Basic Instinct.
I think Verhoeven's going to do what Verhoeven's going to do, but...
I don't know that we get a $300 million box office for Basic Instinct.
I don't know if we get that. I don't know if we get the budget for it either.
Yeah. And this is one we did talk about how everyone is aware of the interrogation scene in Basic Instinct. I think just as much, if not more, everyone is aware of the rabbit. Everyone's aware of, I won't be ignored, Dan. Like
I'm glad you said that. So I don't want to spend too much time justifying our decisions, but I disagree with that.
Oh, really?
So I think people are way more aware of the interrogation scene, but it's a very superficial understanding of like what it's about. I don't think I didn't know about the rabbit scene before I saw Fatal Attraction. I didn't know I won't be ignored, Dan. But I think that there is an unconscious impact on culture that Fatal Attraction has that people just don't know about. Like there's fun parody that's up here about Basic Instinct, but Fatal Attraction influenced an entire group of thinkers and an entire group of filmmakers.
I mean, you listed the movies that are
that was
like
short
borderline remakes of Fatal Attraction.
So I think that it is far more pervasive in the culture. And you say, well, there wouldn't be a Basic Instinct without. I said, even that notwithstanding, I actually think Fatal Attraction's impact is like still very felt. There's also a really funny photo online. You got to look into it. And it says Happy Easter. And it's Michael Douglas and Glenn Close together petting a white bunny.
That's awesome.
It's the best thing I've ever seen. If for any reason, that's why I'm giving cultural importance to Fatal Attraction.
Yeah.
Let's shift gears. Let's get into the emotional connection. Yeah, that's what we do next.
We connect emotionally.
We're going to start off by discussing the emotional connection of Fatal Attraction, and then we'll discuss Basic Instinct, and we'll make our decision from there. I think this is going to be one of our longer episodes now that we're getting into this because I have so much to say about both of these movies.
And I think our cultural reports was longer than I anticipated, so let's do it.
I mean, these are big movies. They're big movies. I'm not the least bit surprised that we spent more time talking about their cultural impact. Fatal Attraction. Basic outline of the story is Dan Gallagher's an attorney. He has this wonderful domestic life. He's been married to Beth Gallagher for 9 years. They have a daughter, Ellen, and I really want to talk about Ellen and the way they sort of dress and costume her as well, because I think it's just such good direction.
I noticed it.
It's fantastic. I just think it's really great direction. But he has this incredible domestic sphere that he occupies. Beth and Ellen go out of town for the weekend to go visit her parents. He has one of those like little, lawyers have cigars and they play golf and they have affairs. And he has one of those kinds of weekends with Alex Forrest. And then all hell breaks loose because Alex is crazy and Alex is going to attack him. And that's basically like the thrust and tension of this movie. What I want to focus on is what does Dan actually promise to Alex when they have this weekend together.
You just have to be discreet.
Oh, God, yeah.
Are you?
Am I what?
Discreet.
Yes, I'm discreet.
Me too.
Can I ask you something?
What?
Why don't you have a date tonight, Saturday night?
I did have a date. I stood him up. That was the phone call I made. Does that make you feel good?
Does it make me feel bad?
So where's your wife?
Where's my wife? My wife is in the country with her parents visiting for the weekend.
And you're here with a strange girl being a naughty boy?
I don't think having dinner with anybody's a crime.
Not yet.
Will it be?
I don't know. What do you think?
Oh, I definitely think it's going to be up to you.
What do you think of Dan's role in this relationship as they're beginning their connection?
I think that he is not as innocent as he would like us to think he is. And I don't think that Alex is completely off base when she thinks that maybe there is something more there.
So out of this conversation, he relinquishes a lot of power and a lot of like...
So much of it is him saying, it's up to you where this goes.
It's up to you where this goes. I'm flattered. He allows her to take the reins. I'm flattered that you canceled your date to be here with me. Like he sort of gives up any amount of power, autonomy, and says, Alex, this is all up to you.
Yeah.
That's what I walk away from this scene. And this scene leads directly into them having sex in her sink. Like it's smash cut too.
Yeah. And what's kind of fascinating here is as you said, it's him basically putting her in the driver's seat and saying that you're going to define this relationship. And then when she defines it in a way that he disagrees with, all hell breaks loose.
Well, that's exactly right. And I love that he's an attorney in this role too, because attorneys, right, they operate under a set of rules. And all of those rules are generally understood because they're set out by the courts. He treats this relationship as though it has that same set of rules. Like this has all been determined by the courts. Don't you know that when you have an affair with an attorney, that this is the way this works? But why would she know that? Right?
He makes a lot of assumptions, thinks that she's going to make the same assumptions, and then vilifies her when she doesn't.
Well, this is what's interesting is they both make a lot of assumptions, right? But I think that she has more cause for the assumptions that she's making. So a lot of the reading of this movie has to do with the affair, has to do with the sex. They have sex twice over the course of this weekend, and that basically these two acts of lovemaking, of sex, of whatever you want to call it, of you know, a one-night stand, whatever, that this is why he is ultimately punished for all of his deeds. But I actually think it is his lack of control, his basically relinquishing the definition of the relationship over to Alex, combined with his very easy intimacy with Alex.
Yeah, the sex that they have is the least intimate thing they do together.
It absolutely is. I think those are the two things that actually cause all of the trouble that comes out of this situation.
Well, and I think the way that the movie presents these things tells us that pretty clearly, right? It smashes them having sex on her sink, right? It's not a romantic holding each other in bed kind of thing. Like it's a fun activity that they do. The things that the movie really spends time with and shows these characters connecting with is not the sex. It's everything else they do that weekend.
So You're absolutely right. It's from the sink to the awkward walk across the apartment with the pants on. It's not even just fun. It's actually kind of like sloppy.
It's sloppy, it's messy, it's clumsy. Clumsy might be the best word.
Yeah. Whereas their other time together is more graceful, is more...
There's a poetry to it.
There is. And so there's a couple of things they do together that are actually worth talking about that I think drive Alex's connection to Dan Gallagher, and that her position... While her actions may not be justified, I think her position and her assumptions likely are very justified.
Yeah, it goes to extreme lengths, but the genesis of it all, I think, is more justified than a superficial reading would suggest.
So the first thing I want to talk about is his sort of casual moving in her space. This is something a little more subtle than the other things we'll get into, but I do think it's important. He sort of walks around her apartment as though it is a home. Not like an apartment, not like he's a guest at someone's house. He leaves his shirt unbuttoned really low. He touches things on the shelves.
He like leans up against furniture that's not meant to be leaned on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He very much takes this ownership of this space in a way that is very familiar.
Casual comfort is an intimate act.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I love watching him move in the space, because this is where I'm just like, Adrian Lyne is just killing the direction in this movie. He is giving you so much to read in this scene and how they both occupy it. So that's a big part of it. And then, of course, the way he dresses, the way he does his hair, because as an attorney, he's usually very buttoned up. His coiffure is always in order, right? But no, he's loose. He's fun. They go out and they dance together. And we'll get into his dance scenes in both movies, because in both movies, he does not belong in either of those spaces.
No.
He could not be more awkwardly uncomfortable.
That's like if I went to those clubs.
Like dancing samba. But it is going out and dancing like that with a person, that's the next place, right? That is...
Well, dancing is so vulnerable.
Dancing is very vulnerable. And doing it in a public space is very vulnerable. And so he's just giving so much of himself over to Alex over the course of this weekend. So the next thing, and this is the one that just like, it breaks my heart. That dog Quincy.
Oh, Quincy.
So I'm a Labrador owner. Every time I see Lab on TV, I get very happy.
I feel like the way that dogs show up in movies like makes or breaks movies for you.
You are absolutely correct, and especially Labradors. But first he leaves Quincy all alone for the day, that's fucking animal abuse. It really, you can't leave a lab in an apartment like that.
Especially a New York apartment.
Well, Labradors famously will not go to the bathroom in the house. They just won't.
Yeah.
They'll just hold it until they get sick and die. And so really, really messed up. We'll also get him giving him spaghetti. Onions are poisonous for dogs, and there's definitely onions in there.
Garlic's not great either.
No, it's all really bad for that dog. But what's more important to the actual reading of the movie and not my own personal feelings about Labradors.
About dog ownership.
is that he brings his dog to her house.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing more domestic in that house than that dog. In fact, if we rewind a little bit, the movie actually opens in his domestic sphere, in his apartment. Adrian Lyne said that he always wanted to shoot on location because he feels like when you're on a set and you're trying to like lower the fake ceiling and bring in the fake walls and have the fake oven that like doesn't have gas in it, like the actors have this veneer that they have to work through. So he wanted all of this in New York apartments in really tight spaces. And that when they built out the space, like he wanted the dust in the corners. He wanted this to be a home that this family lived in. And I think it is one of the best set designs of a home that a family lives in.
It's great because it does. It's a family home.
Oh my gosh.
It is not, because these are well-to-do people.
They're upper middle.
They're upper middle, right? There's a certain amount of polish to their life.
But there's also a messiness to it
But
that I
their
love.
house
He's in his
is
underwear.
a nice house that real people live in.
Well, the apartment. Let's start with the apartment.
Or the apartment,
Because the house.
That's what I mean by house.
Let's be clear. That house is like my dream house. I want to live in that house.
I mean, that's a Nora Ephron house.
Oh my God, I love that house so much. But no, like when he's there in his underwear, he's got his headphones on, Ellen's on the couch, and she's kind of in pajamas. That's the daughter, and she's like watching TV, and the dog's barking, and Ann Archer's, hanging stuff to dry in the bathroom and getting her hair done, and it is just the most real and domestic space that you've ever been in. And it creates a great juxtaposition. And by bringing the dog, the sort of the center of this family that's always like kind of barking and in the space, into Alex's space, there is this invitation into his domestic life that he offers. But not only does he bring the dog to her apartment, they go play in the park with it. And this sort of leads me into maybe for me the most interesting part of this movie, which is the play acting that he does, followed by the play acting that she does. And I really want to talk about this as well. So in this scene, he goes running off with the dog and he falls and doesn't get up. Alex calls to him. He still doesn't get up. She rushes over.
She
Freaks out. She rushes over really scared as though something's happened to him. And he sort of plays dead for a minute. And again, this is just Glenn Close's performance of like making Alex into something more than a cartoon monster.
Yes.
And really making her very, very real. But she rushes over and he plays dead until suddenly it's a practical joke. He wakes up, ha, 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 I was just messing with you. And you can tell that this is not funny to her. That this is something very, very real. At which point she tells Dan, hey, when I was, I think 7, my dad died of a heart attack in front of me. And so this is really worrisome for me. And he immediately, and this is why I want to like lock in on the scene, because we're still talking about the intimacy, right? But this is something where something different, somewhere where something different happens.
Yeah.
Dan? 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 Dan, can you hear me? Oh my God. You bastard.
Your face.
That was a shitty thing to do.
I'm sorry. I was just fooling around.
My father died of a heart attack. I was 7 years old. It happened right in front of me.
Oh, honey, I'm sorry. Really, I had no idea. If I did, I never would have done anything like that. Wait, he didn't die? He's alive?
Yeah, he's alive and well and living in Phoenix.
Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that to you. This is very apologetic, again, very intimate, uses a pet name for her.
That stood out to me.
Yeah.
Right? Is if this was a cheap one-night stand type fling, does he use the pet name? Because it's fucked up if he does.
It is.
And 2, that level of empathy and immediate pivot signals a care that goes beyond the rules that he thinks have been established.
Because playing a practical joke on someone and them taking offense to it can be fine under different circumstances. But if you have genuine care for this person that goes beyond just, we're having fun this weekend, then he's communicating something different. Then she pivots and says, no, that was a practical joke, which feels dark and weird. And you're sort of like, why does her joke feel darker than his joke? And this is where I have to do some self-examination, because I'm like, ooh, I don't like that joke. But his joke was a good time. Pretending to be dead, oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Even though he doesn't know anything about her and what trauma she's experienced. But her saying that it was a joke that her dad died, did you have that reaction?
It was weird.
It feels darker.
It's
right?
weird. Yeah.
But again, why? Why is that weirder?
It was quicker. I think in the moment, right?
You're unprepared for it.
You're unprepared for it. I also, and we learned this later, I didn't believe her. Because
you didn't in that moment think it was a joke. You thought that she pivots. So why do you think she pivots?
Because I think that, how do I put this? I think I read it as a lie because her reaction was so real when she thought he was dead, right? That obviously did come from somewhere real. That was not how one responds to something happening to a stranger. Like there's a level of concern and a level of shock, but it was deeper than that. And then there's the emotional vulnerability of that scene and the connection. And so I think this is her early on, and maybe some of this is hindsight because I've seen the rest of the movie. She's, I think, defending herself a little bit in that scene. I think that she is reacting to his empathy, connecting, pulling back a little bit, but she can only pull back so far, as we learn sort of immediately after.
I think that's a really good read, and I agree with it. The thing I would add is I think it's also her little way of maintaining a certain amount of control in the relationship.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to lose control of the relationship. And if she becomes that vulnerable in that moment, then she started with control. That's why we start with that scene, right? This is up to you. She, by showing her vulnerability, by showing her fear, and that he can control her emotions, well, now she's giving something up. And so she wants to show you can't control my emotions. And I think this is why the joke isn't funny, is because Glenn Close fucking nails the performance.
Mm-hmm.
She's too honest and too real in that moment that's what makes it dark and weird. It's not the joke. It's
No,
the because
it's
his
that
performance is silly.
Her concern was so real.
Mm-hmm.
Her then like saying it's not funny and why it's not funny is so real that when she throws it away, it's just hard to buy.
Exactly. So this is another moment of extreme intimacy between them, but there's a little bit of game playing now that's mixed into it. And this is like, you can see like this is the seed of sort of the darkness that like grows out of it, which again, this is great.
But there also is at the beginning of a relationship, which is what she sees this as, there's this game of cat and mouse that happens,
give
right?
and take. There's determining where the boundaries are, all of those things.
Yeah,
it's the beginning
it's
of
not a disposable interaction. It is the seed of a relationship.
Absolutely. The last thing, and I think probably the most important, and the one that's easiest to attach to intimacy, is the Madame Butterfly discussion. Is that he starts off, and again, the conversation in the bar that I played, he starts off telling her, oh yeah, my parents got a divorce and my mom tried to hire me as a lawyer. That's his lawyer story.
Yeah.
That's his
It's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's his power lunch story that he tells colleagues. When she's playing Madame Butterfly, he shares about how this is the only opera he went to with his father where he like basically had a good experience with his dad. This is a very vulnerable
He talks about being a
moment.
kid, being crushed by the story, knowing about the original ending with the suicide, and then the Madame Butterfly thing, like that fits so much better with the original ending.
I know. It's hard not to mourn the original ending to this movie.
But anyway, it's a story where a man is talking about emotional vulnerability. That is not something that he would necessarily share.
From his childhood, from his connection to his father.
And then the cherry on top of it is talking about how his dad comforted him. Again, that's intimate on its own. And then he adds, I think it's the only time I remember my dad caring for me.
Yep.
How long have you been married?
9 years.
Do you have any kids?
Got a 6-year-old girl.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I'm lucky.
So what are you doing here?
Boy, you know how to ask the wrong thing.
No, I really want to know. I had a wonderful time last night. I'd like to see you again. Was that so terrible?
No. I just don't think it's possible.
It's really strange. I feel like I know you already. I just want to know where I stand.
I think you're terrific. But I'm married. What can I say?
Just my luck.
He doesn't give her any straight answers.
What he is telegraphing here is not, I'm not interested in a relationship.
Nope.
What he is telegraphing is, I am very interested in you, but I have some obstacles.
I think what he's telegraphing here is the same thing he's telegraphing at the beginning. It's up to you. I'm going to make no stance one way or another on this. But if you make a decision, I'll follow along with your decision, just like I did at the bar.
Yeah.
It's really up to you. I think you're terrific. I'm married. There are obstacles.
But should you put in the work to overcome those obstacles, perhaps I'm open.
Exactly.
It's fucked up.
It's incredibly fucked up. And I think she has every reason to infer what she infers, especially if she feels about him the way that she does, which I believe she does. I don't think that there's any pretense about the fact that she really, really, really loves Dan. I feel safe in saying that.
Yeah. And
At least the Dan that she knows.
And, you know, in the clip that you played of Glenn Close, where she talks about how they had sort of decided that she had been sexually abused by her father.
So just to be clear, that's a decision she made about the role.
Okay,
It was actually, she did a bunch of research with psychiatrists. In fact, she brought the character, I think, to 3 different psychiatrists and was like, help me understand this character's sort of pathology and who this person is. Obviously, this is before the rewrite of the ending and everything, right? And so,
if that is the choice that she has made, and if we're to agree with Glenn Close,
I'm inclined
then what we know about people who are sexually abused as children, especially in like an incest situation, is that it breaks the way that they interact with men, right?
Yeah.
And so the fact that she has this intimate interaction with Michael Douglas's character, Dan, and then attaches very strongly to it, fits. It makes sense.
And to take that even a step further, because I think that's a really great like jumping off point, in an incestuous relationship in which you are a child, you are utterly powerless. And what is Dan doing in these scenes? Relinquishing
giving
power
it to her on a platter.
He's saying, you have the power in this relationship. The temptation to take that power for her, especially given the way she feels about Dan, and this opportunity to have a life with him that she sees as a possibility, you cannot help but be on her side and empathize with Alex.
And I also think, so Dan's a lawyer, right? Lawyers read people. Like, they read people. They know how to hear what someone says, how someone reacts to something, and make all kinds of determinations based on that. So it is, I think, safe to say that Dan, in that practical joke scene and the way that she reacts to it, knows without a doubt that she is attached to him in some meaningful way.
I totally disagree. I think Dan's a fool. I think Dan is not
Really?
I don't think Dan's reading anybody. I think Dan treats this weekend the way he treats a court case. I think that everything about this is like, once the judgment has been filed at the end of this weekend, it's over. I can say and do whatever I want in the courtroom. But once this is over,
I think you're being nicer to Dan. I think that.
How am I being nice to Dan? I think he's being an ass.
I think he's being an asshole, but I think that he sort of inherently knows things that he is pushing off to the side for convenience, so that he can sort of paint that narrative for himself.
I think he is so disconnected from any seriousness in this moment that he's not doing any reading at all. I don't think he would share what he shared about his father if he was doing that type of reading. I think he's casual because he's like, he is sitting there feeling like I have all the power, while he is consistently, subtextually relinquishing all the power to Alex.
That's so funny. Yeah, because I read it as like a straight manipulation.
I don't at
all. That
he
is keeping doors open because, he wants to have the power. He doesn't close it off because even though he knows he should, even though he knows that the rules of the court say that it is closed off, well, maybe if I change my mind, I don't want her to not let me change my mind.
This is a weekend of golf to him.
That's in my mind. That's interesting.
All right. Well, we will part ways on that, but that is okay. Now, Alex's pregnancy. We have to talk about Alex's pregnancy because
we absolutely have to talk about Alex's pregnancy.
Like this is such a huge turn in the movie. After he has broken things off, after he has basically said, I don't want to see you anymore, and she started to behave in a way that's a little bit scary. The weekend ends with an attempted suicide. A phony attempted suicide. Let's be clear. She cuts her wrist the wrong way. And
that actually is one of the scenes that works the least for me.
Oh, interesting. That's actually worse. It's still working for me. The movie doesn't lose me till the third act, really.
Yeah, so that scene felt like too big of a leap all at once for me, because I think everything we just discussed about Alex and her vulnerability and the things that make me actually really sympathize for her. I understand why she got attached, separate from the behavior that then transpires. I think we get to her kind of manipulating and acting crazy a little too quickly.
Interesting. I mean, so remember what happens before that scene. So we just listened to them having spaghetti that she made, listening about a butterfly, doing something very domestic again. His wife made spaghetti for him. He's eating spaghetti at her house.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very small but very specific detail.
It's important as hell, though. They then have sex, cut to sex again. Then he's like, I'm going to go. And she's like, well, why can't you stay? And he's like, what difference does it make if I go now or I go later? I have work to do. Like basically he's trying to end this now. He's like, I got what I wanted. I wanted to get laid one more time and now I want to bounce. And she kicks him out of bed, tells him to fuck off. And then she comes in. I think that this is her doing something similar that she did with the dad story, which is she's testing now the boundaries of control. If I yell and scream at you and curse at you, can I control you? Okay, no, you're still going to leave. Okay, so then if I harm myself, I've seen, because she tested him earlier, right? If I appear to be hurt, your empathy shows up and you want to stay for me. So if I can show you that I'm hurt, well, now you'll stay with me in this time. It's her two different ways of trying it.
I agree with all of that.
You just think it's too much.
I just think it's too much.
But there's such surface wounds, though, and I think she knows that. I think that, A, she's attempted suicide before. I don't think this is a first attempt. And I think she knows that this is, for lack of a better term, a phony attempt to test and manipulate Dan's emotions.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so after that, things devolve, and she eventually announces that she's pregnant. And I just want to put it out here. We're going to do what they do in Basic Instinct. Did you kill her? Or him, I guess, in that. Is she pregnant? Do you think she's pregnant in this movie?
A really good question. Because I want to say no.
We all want to say no.
We all want to say no. And I think it's because she does so much other wild shit, it's very plausible that she would lie about a pregnancy. But there's a scene, I believe it's in like a subway station or something, where she's talking about the pregnancy. And she mentions, I'm 36 years old. This might be my last chance to have a family.
Because she had a miscarriage.
Because she had a right?
Yeah.
And that feels very real to me.
That does feel very real. Here's the thing that I think is interesting, is I feel like by the third act of this movie, I don't know whether you do or you just really, really want to dismiss the pregnancy. I think part of it is because of the terrible things she does.
It's way easier if a not pregnant lady gets shot.
It's way easier if a not pregnant lady gets shot. It's way easier if a not pregnant lady cooks a bunny, kidnaps a child. You feel so much better about her being on her own, being
if you want her to be the
disconnected.
bad guy. If you have sympathy for her, though, the pregnancy explains a lot of that wild ass behavior.
Well, what I'm saying though is like, but because of the trajectory of the movie, to protect yourself and your own emotions about how you're going to feel about this movie, you start to slowly dismantle the pregnancy, which again is why I think this movie is so good, because it forces you to dismantle it, even though it confronts you with pretty clear evidence that she is in fact pregnant.
I mean, he had a phone call with her gynecologist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But somehow, the way the movie's directed, that scene feels easy to dismiss.
Yeah. Weirdly, because when we talk about it here, it's like, why would you dismiss that? If anyone's going to know the truth, it would be the OBGYN.
Dan calls the OB. Dan breaks into her apartment, right? What does he find in her apartment? Pregnancy tests. Everything about what's going on with her suggests that she is in fact pregnant with his child.
And she's someone who clearly, we don't know what it is, but has like some kind of mental illness.
Oh,
right?
Unquestionably. I think anyone would agree
There
with
is
that.
no scenario where this is not someone who is sick, who is damaged, whether it's the sexual abuse as a child or something else. Well, someone who has an underlying mental illness, you throw a pregnancy into the mix, you're going to end up with something pretty volatile.
I would imagine so. Not just a pregnancy into the mix, but then a father who's unwilling to take responsibility, who's offering to pay for an abortion that you don't want, who's putting all kinds of weird pressure on you, and then to be also faced with his domestic life. And now she puts herself into that situation to a certain extent, but again, we'll go back to her apartment. I think everything that happens in her apartment explains the entire movie. He talks to Beth, Ann Archer's character, on the phone from her apartment. He lets her in. He lets her into his world.
Yeah,
and so
because there's
into
a
the
version of that quick tryst where he remains anonymous.
Yep.
And that's not what happens.
The dog comes over. He talks to Beth. She is permitted into the world in which Dan is a dad, in which Dan is a paternal figure, in which Dan is the patriarch of this family. And she finds that even more attractive than that quick weekend.
Well,
of
and he
sex.
even talks very positively about being a parent.
Honestly, if you want, I mean, it's funny because Dan is such a piece of shit, right?
Yeah.
But from her perspective, if you wanted to have a child with someone, Dan's kind of a great candidate.
Yeah. I mean, based on the information she's been fed.
He's on exactly.
Yeah.
He's on a partner track. He loves being a father. You have to ignore the fact that he's there with you during the weekend, but it's easy for her to ignore that because it serves her purposes. Everything about that says, I want to have a child with this guy. Plus, he's smart. It's probably relatively good genes. Like, there's a lot of reasons why she would want that. So I believe she's pregnant.
Yeah. Again, I think the movie manipulates you into dismissing it.
Because you want
to dismiss it. It's easier for you as a viewer to not believe her.
Exactly.
But I agree. I think the evidence is actually that she's pregnant.
So going back to the cultural importance of this movie, right? It was decried as being misogynistic. But I think what this movie actually does is reveal our own misogyny. We don't believe her. We think she's crazy. We want to see Dan succeed.
Yeah.
Is that the movie being misogynistic? Or is that us responding to this scenario and being misogynistic?
Is the movie, right. I think the movie is a reflection of our culture, not something that's driving a message.
And this is what makes this movie so good.
This is what and we're going to have a very similar conversation, I think, with Basic Instinct.
Yeah. They both act as these sort of dark mirrors to who we are, and it makes us uncomfortable. So let's just get to it. The third act. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I think the third act does undo a lot of the things that we just discussed. Basically,
because
from
it goes
the cooked
too
bunny,
far.
From the cooked bunny on, it goes too far, and it makes her into a villain.
Yeah.
That she isn't earlier in the movie, and that she doesn't. I don't think that she deserves to be converted into this type of
it takes someone who I think is a sympathetic, vulnerable person who is making some logical leaps, but they come from a place that if you really think about it, you can understand. And then they have her do things that are irredeemable.
Yeah. They have her do things that it's impossible to go on this journey with her. And it turns, by turning her into
only
the
an
villain,
insane person boils a bunny.
And I don't know which is more upsetting, that it converts her into a villain or that it turns Dan into a hero.
Yeah.
That's the hard part for me. And even though,
if there's anything misogynistic, it's that.
Yeah. I think the ending does become misogynistic. It genuinely does. I don't know what to do with it. Like, I think it's messy. I would prefer the original ending. Would we be talking about the movie on this podcast if it had the original ending? Maybe not.
Yeah, because it's really hard to tell.
It might have been just another film that flew under the radar that maybe we would have found by accident at some point while we're flipping through Netflix. And
maybe
like,
it's a critical darling, but it doesn't go on to make hundreds of millions of dollars and have the influence that it has.
Yeah, and this is sort of the tragedy of this movie, is that
it's the broad tragedy, I think, of art that's created for consumption.
Yes, but it doesn't happen to every film.
True.
And that's the thing. I think that this is a really unique animal in that not only does it get this sort of betrayal ending that really betrays Alex's character that was just spent, I don't know how much time just discussing, but it sparks this like huge cultural wave of other films that sort of emulate these female monsters, and you just get a bunch of like copy paste versions of this movie. And so we sort of deal with it for an entire decade.
Yeah.
As a result of it. So it really breaks my heart because I really like this movie so much, and it works for me on so many levels. I am going to pause there, and Michael, you're going to lead us on a discussion of the emotional connection of Basic Instinct, which I'm ecstatic to have right now.
Yeah.
You want to go clip first?
Let's go brief synopsis first.
Hit us.
So, Basic Instinct, it opens with a murder. You have a blonde woman having sex with a fading rock star, and during that encounter, she slices and dices him with an ice pick.
An ice pick through his eyeball.
Face.
Oh,
yeah.
That's like when you know you're in a Verhoeven. You're just like...
He's brutally murdered. And then we're introduced
to
Michael Douglas again, who plays Nick, who is a detective working on the murder. And they're
working is a very generous word for what he's doing.
Yeah, Nick sucks. We'll get to this.
I like the way Nick sucks. I like the way Nick sucks more than I like the way Dan sucks.
Yeah. They're investigating this murder. Their prime suspect is the rock star's girlfriend, who is an author who wrote a book where a woman murders her rock star boyfriend with an ice pick. And with that, let's throw ourselves to the clip where they are interrogating her as their suspect.
Would you tell us the nature of your relationship with Mr. Boz?
I had sex with him for about 1.5 years. I liked having sex with him. He wasn't afraid of experimenting. I like men like that. Men who give me pleasure. He gave me a lot of pleasure.
You ever engage in any sadomasochistic activity?
Exactly what did you have in mind, Mr. Corelli?
You ever tie him up?
No.
You never tied him up.
No. Johnny liked to use his hands too much. I like hands and fingers.
You describe a white silk scarf in your book.
I've always had a fondness for white silk scarves. They're good for all occasions.
But you said you like men to use their hands, didn't you?
No, I said I like Johnny to use his hands. I don't make any rules, Nick. I go with the flow.
Did you kill Mr. Boz, Miss Trammell?
I'd have to be pretty stupid to write a book about killing and then kill somebody the way I described it in my book. I'd be announcing myself as the killer. I'm not stupid.
We know you're not stupid, Miss Trammell.
Maybe that's what you're counting on to get you off the hook.
Writing the book gives you an alibi.
Yes, it does, doesn't it? The answer's no. I didn't kill him.
Do you use drugs, Miss Trammell?
Sometimes.
You ever use drugs with Mr. Boz?
Sure.
What kind of drugs?
Cocaine? Have you ever fucked on cocaine, Nick? It's nice.
This scene, the oft parodied scene, the famous scene, is titillating, for sure. I cut moments of silence from that scene. The way that she talks, the way that she gives bits of information very slowly, leaves them hanging. You want to talk about an intimate act. The way that she answers those questions is sexual.
Do you think it's intimate, though?
It probably felt that way.
So my read of this scene is that she knows these cops are morons.
Oh, she is the smartest person in that room, and it is not close.
She's not the smartest person in that room. If you added up the intelligence of everybody in that room and then raised it to the power of 3, they wouldn't be anywhere near as close
and added
to Catherine.
Everyone that those people have ever interacted with.
Yeah. I think that scene where she says that I have to be pretty stupid to say that, like, that's where she knows, wow, these cops fell apart faster than I thought they would.
Yeah.
Because they come right at her and say, did you kill him, right? Like, why would you ask that early in the interrogation? Because all she has to do is say no, and now the interrogation is over. You've effectively ended your own interrogation, but they're so thrown off by the fact that she's volunteering sexual information to them, and they're sweating, and they're uncomfortable, and they're like, oh, white scarves and sadomasochism. They're a bunch of dorks.
Right.
And she knows they're a bunch of dorks.
And because she is crossing these lines, I think for them, there's, I think intimacy is an okay word. Not the same kind of intimacy, but it's a closeness that is atypical.
I don't think for her it's intimacy.
No.
I think it's manipulation.
Absolutely.
She's interrogating them.
And she is so magnetic and charismatic, and she's mysterious but scary in a sexy way.
Sharon Stone deserved an Oscar nom for this role.
Get why people fall for her. I get why Nick is trapped by her immediately. And this scene tells all of it. The other thing she does in this scene that is just like, I cannot express how much I love it. She calls all the other cops Mr. This, Mr. That.
Mm-hmm.
And then she drops Nick when talking to him.
So why do you think she does that?
It's incredibly disarming. It betrays a closeness and intimacy that maybe doesn't exist.
Okay.
And it discredits him immediately.
That's why I think she does it.
Yeah.
I think it's to undermine his credibility with the other police. I think she's trying to peel him away from the other officers because she's going to do two things.
Because she is smart. She has a plan. And she knows that if she's the killer, the best way for her to get off is to discredit him, and making it look like they are inappropriately close does that very well.
It's to do to him what he's doing to Beth. Create an intimate relationship with the person who's responsible for whether you're guilty or not.
Yeah.
You can now create a conflict of interest and control the situation. But the credibility thing, it's so good because for the rest of the movie, right, Gus, like the cowboy, he's like, I can't believe you're messing with her. I'm the only one on your side, blah, 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 right? The thing that is always implied in every scene isn't just that they're like, we can't believe that Nick would do this, right? But we're so fucking jealous that he gets to.
Yeah.
So now we don't think he's credible and we're mad at him because he's getting to Catherine Trammell. Like that's what he's getting to do now is spend time with her, presumably have sex with her. And we all want to do it, which is why the leg uncrossing scene is so important, is to be incredibly clear. You all want this, but I'm going to offer it to him. Now you boys figure out amongst yourselves how you're going to deal with that situation.
Right.
And it's so
it's
just
good. Such a brilliant manipulation. And for me, at least, as the viewer, it takes the character that should be the villain, and she is instantly the one I'm rooting for the rest of the movie.
Well, I think that is a question. You say should be the villain, right? So we have Dan Gallagher from Fatal Attraction, who you're like, oh, he shouldn't be the villain, but he's kind of a piece of shit, right? Dude, Nick right out of the gate is a huge piece of shit.
He sucks.
There's no question. And he sucks in a really fun way, in a fun noir Humphrey Bogart way, right? He's a drunk. He's a cokehead. They joke about that man's brutal death, which is Verhoeven winking at us again, right? Because he's like, oh, you guys don't mind violence. Look at all these cops standing around joking about the grossest death and this guy's dong hanging out. Like everything about this situation is repulsive and all these cops are so calloused because they're American police officers.
They joke about the fact that he's got bad shoots in his past. They call him Shooter because he shot some tourists during
the way they joke about violence in this in general. But like Nick is such a garbage person with a garbage apartment and a garbage life.
You mentioned it. He's in this relationship with Beth, who's like the department psychologist, who's there sort of to evaluate him after these mistakes that he's made.
On behalf of internal affairs because they want to fire him.
And he manipulates her. He gets her in this intimate relationship, gets her on his side so that she covers for him. Nick is a bad dude.
Nick is a really bad guy.
And somehow Catherine reads that immediately and knows that she needs to exploit it.
Well, I think Catherine reads it immediately because she did her research. And she doesn't even hide that she did her research. I mean, she's got all those articles about him out on her desk.
Yeah, so and there are scenes where she just keeps like mentioning aspects of his biography very casually, like they know each other.
Well, and this goes to show not just what a bad guy Nick is, but what a fool Nick is. Because Heath sees those newspaper articles out and her calling him Shooter as a sort of act of intimacy and an interest in him as a writer, but also as a man, right? And what it actually is research into him and how she can manipulate him because she is taking him apart one piece at a time to absolutely do whatever she needs to.
And he tries to fool the people around him. He maybe is trying to fool himself into thinking that his relationship with her is a play as part of the investigation, that he's getting close to her so that she'll reveal information so he can nab her.
I think that's a pretense. I think he's completely obsessed with her.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. I think
he might be fooling himself though.
Yeah, I think anything about the investigation is absolute pretense.
But the truth is the exact opposite. That like she is surveilling him. She is curating a narrative for him to observe.
Yep.
There is nothing that he's discovering that she doesn't want him to discover.
the line about him being a good detective, when I think Beth says it to him. She goes, "Oh, she knows you're a good detective," and this is where I actually struggle with who's actually guilty at the end, because I think Beth is manipulating him too.
I do too,
because she says she knows you're a good detective. Nick is not a good detective,
and
the amount of detective work that Nick does mostly involves going to schools and checking registrations.
And what we know about Beth is that she's not an idiot.
No,
right?
She went to Berkeley too.
And so she does stupid things because, ostensibly, because Nick has manipulated her into this relationship to protect himself from internal affairs. But is she fooled, or is she playing him too?
Well, that's the thing, is does she need a cop on her side the way Catherine needs a cop on her side as well? And who needs a cop on their side more? Sorry, I know you're kind of leaving this, but I got to take this. So, like, the internal affairs investigation, right? What's his Nilsson?
Yeah,
Nilsson has been investigating Beth for the last year. Why?
Yeah.
Like, what are your theories?
I don't know.
I think it's her.
Yeah,
I don't think it's Catherine.
I kind of do too. And this is
wait,
kind
you
of
don't think Catherine did it? There are so many murders that when I say did it, which murder are we talking about, right?
I know.
Because there are...
she's definitely capable. She's acting like someone who maybe did something that she's hiding. But I think there's enough in Beth's past to say the same thing.
But there's also... I mean, here's the thing. When it comes down to determining who did it, right? It's motivation. Who has the motivation to commit these murders?
Beth, probably.
Beth has Catherine doesn't have any motivation to do it. What would be her motive? And this is where
Catherine's motivation is pure psychopathy.
And I was going to say
psychopathy.
This is where the movie is doing the same thing Fatal Attraction does, and that is reflecting us back to ourselves. We're like, oh, she's a psychotic, like because she's a psychiatrist, because she's a millionaire, because she's bisexual. We think she's crazy, so therefore she must be the one to do it.
And but when she projects confidence and power, and she is smarter than the men, right? Whereas Beth is innocent and all-American, and
in fact, when is the one...
that's almost the more perverse manipulation.
The one moment where you actually think maybe Catherine didn't do it, right? When is it? When Roxy dies and she's crying. Oh, she's not powerful anymore. She's showing weakness. Well, she couldn't be a murderer if she's crying. She has weakness. But that is as much a show as everything else.
But that could be a manipulation. Yeah.
But if you break it down and you go, who has the motivation to commit these murders? I don't think Catherine has any motivation to commit these murders.
And that's the super fun part of this movie. Is it really is a choose your own adventure.
It is.
It gives you...
It's funny that they spoiled it with the Catherine did it signs, because I'm like...
Because I don't know that that's right.
I don't know that that's right either. So, I mean, we're going to jump around. What do you make of the final ice pick?
So the final ice pick...
Dude, that final ice pick is so fucking good.
So good. So the final ice pick,
I love that it fades to black.
For me, I think up until that point, I am kind of not super like strong in this conviction. I'm kind of on the Beth did it side.
Okay.
And then they give you the ice pick. And the ice pick makes me want Catherine to have done it, because it means that she's about to stab Nick, who I hate.
You just want to see Nick get stabbed. You're like, all right, perfect. But she doesn't grab the ice pick.
But she doesn't grab the ice pick. It stays under the bed. And we know that she uses an ice pick for ice. Like, that's established.
She likes those rough edges.
Yeah.
I know, which is again, like that great throwback to this noir. Like, this movie's such a great noir. Like, there's so many elements of it, from the San Francisco setting to the old beat up cars to the ice pick and the whiskey drinks and just the cigarettes. And it's just, like, you can smell this movie in a way that, like,
it's really well made.
It makes me I don't know what they're doing giving Razzies out to this movie.
No.
It's so incredibly well made.
The only thing I can think of is some sort of weird Verhoeven bias, because this movie is so artistically crafted.
Oh yeah,
there are no mistakes, like or nothing that just happens by chance.
No, the stuff that's
everything
in there that
is a decision.
Like a mistake is to mess with you, right?
Yeah,
because that ice pick, I will tell you that when the ice pick got revealed, that was when I was 100% convinced that Beth did it, because
that's how the movie fucks with you.
Well, because Catherine, her character if we believe her up to this point, and we don't have a reason not to, she is a writer. She's a successful writer. She has published novels. She has published novels about people she slept with, about her family, about her experiences. She has told us that she gets involved with murderers. We know because she's hanging out with, oh my gosh, what's the character's name? You know what I'm talking about, right?
I do know who you're talking about. And she's doing it for the reason of book research.
For book research.
Legitimately.
Yeah, somebody who's been convicted of killing their family. She wants to understand that pathology. So if Catherine was somebody who actually killed her family, why would she be hanging out with somebody who killed their family for the
She understands that pathology.
She would understand that pathology,
Yeah.
right? But she doesn't. So why have the ice pick around in the bed and reach for it and then not go for it at the end, right? I think that she's play acting. I think she's putting herself into the role of the character who would do that. I think that she gets sexual pleasure from it. I think she gets intellectual pleasure from it. And I think that the reaching for it is just part of that, like, what if I were to go through this? What would this feel like? What is this thing to me so that I can use this in, I don't know, my sequel for my next book? I don't think it has anything to do with her wanting to kill Nick. I don't think it's anything to do with her being a murderer. I do not think that Catherine did it. I don't think Catherine did any of it. I think Catherine fucks with people, and I think Catherine has maybe manipulated people into doing terrible things. But I do not think Catherine has gotten her hands dirty.
Far less nefarious reasons.
Oh, yeah. I don't think Catherine's ever gotten her hands dirty in a murder. I think Beth absolutely is the killer.
And what I love about Catherine as a character is that she is so smart.
So she's one of my favorite movie characters.
She's so interested, right? Like just broadly.
I like very interested, not
interested person.
She observes
so
people.
much so that she is willing to lean into being a murder suspect so that she can understand the reaction to the people who are investigating her.
I know.
And it's amazing.
She is a deeply fascinating character, a beautifully written character, a beautifully acted character. This is another. It's funny that in both these movies they were accused of misogyny. In both these movies, you have incredible female performances in absolutely infinitely interesting characters that make me love both of these performers and performances in a way that, like, I don't know that I can, like, describe in, like, a lot of contemporary movies.
Right. And both of these movies, I think, age really well.
Yeah.
Because
maybe better.
Us having this conversation now with 35 years of history lets us sort of play in this nuance, see these female characters the way that I think they are intended, in a way that maybe the audiences when they came out just didn't have the reference point for. And these movies gave us that reference point. They were almost punished for being as great as they are.
You know what? I agree. I couldn't believe that when you were talking about cultural importance, though, that you didn't bring up Scream, one of your favorite movies of all time.
So, yeah, I thought about it a lot. In the shower this morning, I was doing the whole, she was no Sharon Stone. But yeah, in cultural importance, there is, in Scream, right? Sidney Prescott's mom is morally flexible.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's this great line that she's flashing herself around town like Sharon Stone, but she's no Sharon Stone. And the truth is, very few women are Sharon Stone.
Well, that is absolutely true. There's a hooded black figure that has a large arching stab scene in this too. Like Wes Craven was watching this movie and loving this. I mean, both of these movies are horror films.
Yeah.
Like they're thrillers, but they are also horror films. You spend so much of the time of this film.
They're horror films in the best way.
Yeah, being scared of what might happen. I love the way Basic Instinct starts off with. So you mentioned it starts off with this like very like titillating sex scene that results in a murder. What I like actually even before that is it starts in a refracted light version of the sex scene where you can tell that there's skin moving. You can tell that two people are having sex, but you can't see what's happening. And there's something about it that makes you want to lean in more. This, like everything about this movie is constantly begging you to just lean in. And then once you've leaned in and you're like, oh, it's violent and murder, and like that's what happens, the rest of the movie, they keep recreating the scene over and over, making you scared that you're going to repeat that trauma that it gave you at the beginning.
Verhoeven does so well in the way that, like you said, he toys with American audiences, right? Is that refracted light version is the version of sex that we get in movies, right? That's what we expect. Is it's sort of obscured. It's It's more implicit than explicit.
Mm-hmm.
And then he dives in, he gives it to us right in our face in a way that makes us very uncomfortable because it's not what we're used to.
A mirrored reflection. You're getting it double. Like he's like, I'm not just going to give it to you once. I'm going to give it to you twice from multiple angles.
And then as soon as you're like acclimated to the sex, he hits you with the violence.
Mm-hmm. And now you're scared of sex for the rest of the movie.
And it's his signature, and it is smart, and it is done so well that people get mad at him for it. And I love the guy. I love the way he makes movies.
Is it time?
I think it's time.
Is it time?
Yeah.
All right. Do you know?
This is an incredibly difficult call.
Emotional connection. We're going to determine which film has the stronger emotional connection for us.
Yeah.
This was the one I did not know going in. After watching both.
Did not know going in. This is the one where I'm making a decision. Think I'm confident. But I guess if I say I think, then I'm not that confident.
On 3?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Oh, lower. Oh, you went basic.
I went Basic Instinct.
Okay. I went Fatal Attraction.
Yeah.
After we talked about it, it became easier for me.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'll just say it's Alex. For me,
it's Catherine.
I'm so connected emotionally to Alex and her journey and what Glenn Close brought to that performance. So much of Basic Instinct feels like this really fun pastiche where I'm like, oh, it's like the 1940s, but it's the 1990s. And this all, even though I love everything it's saying, I love everything it's doing, I can feel the performance of it. I can sort of feel the veneer of all of it. Whereas the realism that Adrian Lyne brings just drags me in a way that I can't divorce myself from the emotional connection despite that kind of unfortunate ending.
I don't disagree with you. For me, it's Catherine. I really, really sympathize with Alex in in Fatal Attraction. I think it is a really great performance with so much more depth than I think it gets credit for a lot of times. So I really sympathize with Alex. I admire Glenn Close's performance of Alex. I love Catherine.
I mean, how can you not?
Admire Catherine. She just decided, you know what? Fuck you. I'm in the driver's seat and I am flooring it. And I just adore every second of it.
I do too. So that's a great lead in. We're going to discuss which film is more entertaining.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say it. It's Basic Instinct.
It is Basic Instinct. And it's actually funny enough, one of the reasons it's Basic Instinct is the reasons I said, and the reasons you actually said the emotional connection of Fatal Attraction works for you is Basic Instinct is a movie the whole time and doesn't really let you forget that it's a movie.
Nope.
And there's so much movie making in it that it is so fucking fun. So fun.
I got to the end of it and wanted to rewatch it almost immediately. And again, this tends to be sort of my like question is like, was this popcorn? Is this something I want to rewatch immediately? Basic Instinct was so much movie making fun. I think Verhoeven has so much fun. Like Adrian Lyne is taking Fatal Attraction very seriously. Glenn Close is taking it very seriously. I think Sharon Stone is just having a blast. I think Michael Douglas is having more fun in Basic Instinct. Like it feels like he's having a good time with this sort of like coke head. It actually makes me think a little bit of a proto Al Pacino from Heat.
Yeah,
like the bad cop with the bad drug problem. Although I guess they took the cocaine out of Heat, but also Al Pacino. If you read interviews, he decided they didn't take the cocaine out of it. So
I think Michael Douglas wants to like Dan, but he knows that he needs to hate Nick. And it's a lot more fun that way.
It's funny because I generally don't like it when I feel like an actor doesn't like their character and they don't have like love for them. But I agree. I think he knows.
But he loves to hate, right? And so there's love for the character. There's love for playing this character through his shittiness.
Yeah.
And it's great. There's so much like scenery chewing and so many things that are just a little too much. But I eat it up. I eat it up.
Because it's it's all winking at you the whole time. It's never taking itself too seriously.
Yeah.
It's having a lot of fun with these tropes, with sort of like, oh, look, poking and offending, but then falling back into these like, it's this juxtaposition between relying on very tried and true American narrative of the Humphrey Bogart noir films and this kind of like, smoking, drinking detective that's wrapped up in this woman's web. And then taking that thing that we're so comfortable with, that dad movie, and just putting all this insane sex, violence, and role reversal on it. And we talked about earlier, we really didn't get into it, right? But like that misread in the review, in that we know that these cops don't know anything about sadomasochism, and Catherine absolutely does. And she goes, oh, you think white scarves are sadomasochism? Cool, I'm going to play with that. Oh, Nick, you think that I was the fuck of a century? You were the most boring sex I've ever had in my life, but I need to control you, and so I'm going to let you think all these things. Well, and the way she plays with male ego.
Yeah, you mentioned it earlier. Like, it's a throwaway line, but it tells us so much about these cops when they pronounce it Hermes. Right?
Oh, like, it's a great line.
Yeah.
It's such a great line when they say Hermes, because they don't understand anything about her or her world. Even if she did it, they would never catch her because they're not capable of it.
Yeah. And
the reason she doesn't need an attorney isn't because she doesn't need an attorney. She doesn't need an attorney because they're a bunch of idiots.
Because who's she going to hire that's smarter than her?
Well, it's not just that, but they can give her, because she says some things that an attorney would tell her not to say in that room, just to be clear, but because she's not interested in appearing innocent. She's interested in researching these morons, which that interrogation room, we didn't get into this either, but like that interrogation room, is beautifully designed. It's like some weird futuristic dystopian world. Like
that's another Verhoeven signature.
That whole room is such a Verhoeven signature. But also, people just come and go. People interrogate in groups.
Yeah, there are 4 people throwing shit at her,
and nobody has any kind of plan for how they're going to ask the questions in order to get her to reveal her guilt. Like, they're such dopes, and they reveal that they're such dopes so early.
She is writing their interrogation script for them.
It's almost a waste of her intelligence, if we're being honest. Like, I actually would like to see her up against someone smarter, because it might be more fun than her like toying with these morons.
Yeah, I don't know. I like her toying with the morons.
I enjoy it, but I'd like to see her meet her match.
Yeah.
All right, Michael. We have determined which movies are more entertaining, which ones we feel have more emotional impact, and which one has more cultural importance. It is now time to make the big decision. Which one goes on the watch list and which one gets deleted forever? If we remove Fatal Attraction, Michael, we lose Glenn Close's performance. We lose the touchstone for these types of films. We lose this look into the sort of the like psychosexual fear that was built in the 90s, and probably the best version of it, if we're being honest. We lose the bunny. I don't love the bunny scene, but we
lost the bunny.
We lost the bunny, but we lose the bunny scene. If we get rid of Basic Instinct, we lose one of the most parodied scene of all time. I mean, like Jaws and Basic Instinct are probably, maybe Pulp Fiction, we'll put that on that list too, right? We lose Sharon Stone's incredible performance. We lose, honestly, one of the most fun movies I've watched in a long time. We have other Verhovens to pick from, though. I think that is something that's worth noting. I don't know when we would get into another Adrian Lyne.
Yeah, this fits nicely into the Verhoeven filmography.
I'm trying to think. We've put some dark, have we? Have we gotten any dark satires on our list up to this point?
I don't think so.
I feel like we opted against Invasion of the Body Snatchers. We went with Close Encounters, so we got rid of that dark satire. We opted against Nightcrawler. We went with Drive. We have gotten rid of that dark satire. We got rid of Sorcerer. So now we have a pretty sincere look into a psychosis with Fatal Attraction, or a pretty dark satire about power and police and feminism. Is this the one that we want to put on the list?
I know. It's really tough. And I think that the thing that makes it super tough is like how just like influential Fatal Attraction is.
I know. It's big.
Really gives it so much weight. It's a really tough call. This is a matchup that I had a lot of fun with.
I say it every damn time that I didn't decide before we came in, but I usually am leaning.
Yeah.
And I will tell you right now, I was not leaning at all. I could not decide before we came in at all. I usually at least have a sense of it. Let's do it on 3, Michael.
Let's do it.
1, 2, 3. Basic Instinct
Keeping
took
Basic Instinct. Yeah.
I feel good about it.
I do too.
I feel really good. I love Fatal Attraction. I really, really, really love that movie. Basic Instinct might be my favorite Verhoeven.
I think it is.
I
think it's mine. And this is one that if I had seen it, I had seen it in pieces.
Yep.
I hadn't really paid attention to it. I watched it on a surface level. I didn't dig into it the way that we did. Watching it this time was one of the best times I had watching a movie that we've done in quite a while. I don't want to say it's like the best movie. That's impossible to say. But in terms of just like you said, it was over and I could have hit restart. Like, it's so fun, so good. And Sharon Stone is just perfect.
She's a vision in it. She absolutely is. But it's hard to base it on that because Glenn Close is also perfect.
I know. It's crazy to say this.
We've had a lot of polls lately. I feel really good about coming to a decision together and deciding that Basic Instinct goes on the watch list. So it is official. The watch list has been updated. Fatal Attraction, I am sorry. You will not be going on the greatest watch list of all time. Instead, we will be selecting Basic Instinct, Verhoeven's masterpiece, Sharon Stone's probably most famous role she ever did, and maybe our favorite Verhoeven.
I think it might be. There are a lot. I'm a big Verhoeven fan.
So the watch list has been updated. I don't have to post a poll. Obviously, we still want to hear what you think, so you can go on, you can let us know, did we get it wrong? Did we get it right? Which one would you choose to put on the greatest watch list of all time? And even though you're saying it will have literally no impact on the outcome, we're still curious to know what you think.
Because Basic Instinct is on the list.
Basic Instinct is on the list, and I feel good saying that.
So do I.
Woo.
I'm so excited about it.
Take us out.
Next time on The Essential Cut, we are leaving behind the psychosexual femme fatales and joining forces with some DC comic pals.
With Tom Holland squeezing into the Spidey suit one more time this summer, we had to ask ourselves, what happens when a superhero franchise overstays its welcome? In one corner, it's the Man of Steel. He defeated Lex Luthor, he banished General Zod, and now he's back to fight Richard Pryor's computer. And in the other corner, it's Gotham's Dark Knight, sporting the best anatomically correct bat suit in the biz. It's Superman 3 versus Batman Forever. Which of these sequels will claim a spot on the greatest watch list of all time? And which one will be banished forever? Find out next time on The Essential Cut.
Make sure you like, subscribe, rate, and review this episode. Let us know what you think of both of these movies, the choice that we made. Follow us online, Instagram, Threads. I am at Michael_upleft, and Ian.
I'm at Ian_upleft, where you can vote in the polls, where you can see what movies we're watching, and where you can also see us promote this show, although hopefully you're just watching the show and you don't need the promotions for it. But I'm on Instagram, Letterboxd, and Threads doing all those things.
Threads. And join us next week where we spend some time with those DC comic pals. We're visiting the threequels, Batman Forever and Superman 3.
Bye for now. The Essential Cut is an Uplift Media production, written, researched, and hosted by Ian Tarter and Michael Smith. Produced, sound engineered, and edited by Ian Tarter. With special thanks to Rosie Page.